Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our new Snowfall review. Coco Vanderwolf is here, demanding attention. Is that a surprise? No.
No.
Okay, now this is an episode entitled Through a Glass Darkly. Interesting. I think this is First Corinthians reference.
Yeah, it's sort of the idea of it is that you're looking through a glass, but you're not seeing things clearly.
It's a really interesting, kind of cool episode, and to me, a lot of it is, I love Kevin Carroll. I love Alton character. Just from an acting perspective, I was so stoked to see him get this much time.
Yeah, he's great.
I can't say things are looking great for Alton at the moment, though.
No, that scene with Franklin, we're going to get into that, but man, that was intense.
Yeah, this is like one of the first real times I am actually mildly compelled by Irene as a character. I still think we all... Okay, I'm going to argue. I still think we all know where it's going, but at least...
Do we know where it's going?
Yes. Coco agrees. We all know Irene's probably going to die at some point this season.
Yeah, she is.
But at least there's some skin in the game now. At least we have somebody else involved. That is Alton. We will talk about his choices. We will talk about Teddy's choices. You don't... Okay, what are you even doing anymore, Doc? You can't screw over Teddy on a deal. He's gonna get upset.
Does he ever?
He's in a bad mood. Teddy needs I don't know. What do you get somebody when they're just upset and distraught? Like some pastries?
I guess that's what we get you.
Listen, I think. Is
that gonna make you feel better if somebody steals $15 million from you? If that happens, I'm gonna get Matt a donut, and all is good. Right?
It's not gonna make it worse. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying it's gonna make it better.
Oh my god.
But anyway, if you guys do enjoy this video, subscribe for more updates. We're here talking about Snowfall every single week throughout this crazy, crazy season.
Best season so far.
Best season so far. I think there's probably a couple episodes this season I like overall more than this one, but I still enjoyed a lot of what they gave us.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just... Everyone's got it. We got to talk about Alton and Franklin.
Yeah, we got to talk about everything that happened with Alton. So Alton decided to make the decision to work with Irene. And at first I was kind of like, okay, why are you making this decision? You have a few other options. One of them, you can just go and talk to Sissy about stuff. She is smart. She is capable. She has lots of ideas. She now has lots of connections with what's going on with Davis. There might be another way out of this, and Sissy is well connected now, so that might be a way for him to go. He could have just gone to the whole family. He's not the only person that really kind of is ready to step out of this business. I mean, Sissy doesn't want to stay in. Jerome doesn't want to stay in. They all, he knows everything that's going on with the CIA now. Together, maybe they could have figured something out. Or, and I know he wouldn't have done this because of his past, he could have gone to Franklin, who could have gone to Teddy, to tell him what is going on with Irene and just squash the story. My real feeling on this is that Alton wants his family out of this, and he felt that this was a way to screw over the CIA, who he has no good feelings about, and save his family at the same time. But the real problem is, Irene can't really promise his family safety. She can promise not to put him in the article, but she doesn't really have authority to do anything else. She's a reporter.
Yeah, Irene is not a government agent. She has no power. She is just a reporter who can sort of just threaten public exposure, and that's more or less it. And I've been trying to figure out, okay, why Alton would go so far, behind his own family's back and do all of this. Is it because he wants them out of his hair at the shelter? Is it because, like you said, he wants his family out? I think that is a big part of it. And
yeah, it might be that he just, if he has to drag them out kicking and screaming, he will.
I think there's just also an element of masculinity here where, as a man and as a father and as someone who sort of has that idea probably somewhere in his head is, okay, it is my role to sort of find a way to take care of my son, to take care of the people that are in my life. I'm going to step up to the plate here because I know best. You know that expression, father knows best? father may not know best in this situation across the board.
Yeah, I mean, depending on Irene, I mean, once that story sort of comes out, it's not going to just be as easy as the story comes out and the CIA is oh so in trouble. I mean, they're the CIA. They'll figure out a way to cover it up, and Irene send her off to greener pastures and everything will kind of go back to normal.
Here's part of the issue here. We saw at the very end of this episode that it was very clear that Franklin was to not be mentioned in this piece. That was a part of the arrangement that Alton made. Like, besides ethics as a journalist here, what's stopping Irene from doing this? Like, I didn't see some, like, contract written in blood or anything else.
Well, I don't think she will, but that's not going to stop other people from digging into this who don't have a deal with Irene. So, I mean, I was really surprised to actually see Alton say his son's name and not sort of dance around it or, look through a glass darkly with her and not just be that frank with her.
I have a son. His name is Franklin Faint, and he is, okay, you can probably come up with a better name than that. But, you can do a little something here, Alton. Nuance the situation.
So, this obviously led to a very bad situation when Alton came home and he told Sissy and they told Franklin, oh my goodness, he handled this so badly. He punched Alton in the face. He pulled out his gun, he threw him out of the house. That last scene with Franklin sitting on the coffee table, just in complete disarray. He doesn't know what to do. He's so lost. And you can just hear Sissy, and she's on the ground in the background, and she's just quietly sobbing. Broke me. The family is so broken now from what Alton did decide to do and how Franklin reacted to it. And I mean, is there any way to bring this family back together again with this? I don't know that there is when it comes to Franklin.
I don't know if there is, and I think it was always going to get here. I'm not trying to be prophetic and be oh, it was fate that caused this, but I think the moment that Franklin continued to be sort of immersed in this stuff, and Sissy kind of told herself whatever she needed to tell herself to make it seem oh, we're building something bigger here. This was always a risk. This is always something that could have happened.
Yeah, Sissy's in a really interesting spot because we've seen glimpses of how good she is at this and how smart she is at this. And I think there's a part of her that really likes how good she is at this.
Yeah.
But she's always had this deal with Franklin that when it's done, and everybody needs to get out. And it's such a strange spot for her to be in because she said to Alton, I am here for my son. I'm not kicking my son out of my life again. I already did that. It didn't go the way that it needed to go. Now I'm going to help him get out of it. How is this helping?
It's such a difficult spot for her to be in, and that's the thing. That's what makes this show good is I think everybody's trying to balance a lot of things mentally in their heads. Is okay, here's how I handle this situation. Franklin is not the same Franklin that he even was a couple of years ago. They have to keep up with that evolution.
Yeah, because Sissy, I think she does have her head in the sand a little bit with this, where she doesn't want to see that Franklin is also very good at this and that he really likes it. And that I think there's obviously a big part of him that doesn't want to get out of it. And Alton sees that part very clearly, not through a glass darkly, clearly.
I'm so curious to know where all of this is going. The thing that was interesting and maybe a little odd to me is that we spent so much time with Franklin and Leon these past couple of episodes, and then in this one, it felt like they were just sort of off doing their own things again.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, we had a little bit sort of a wrap up at the beginning where, it seems like everything with FATBACK is done, at least with the police. There's other stuff going on with Leon, and Jerome had to step in, but that stuff seems to be done. Seems like the police are fine with that. Whatever that whole thing with, they have Leon's fingerprints on a bullet that was found at the scene. They know that they're there. Okay, great, Teddy. That story didn't go anywhere. All right, so this is where we are. But they ended up in the situation at the beginning where Franklin's kind of okay, Leon's going to go back. He's going to go back to work. We're all just kind of like moving back along.
And that's fine. But Leon, Wanda, come on, Leon. Like, I understand you have reservations. I understand all of that fully. But, you know, hasn't Wanda just gone through enough at this point?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really tough storyline because anybody who's had family members or friends or anyone that has gone through like addiction like that, it's not usually just I became addicted, I went to rehab, now I'm all better and we're all just moving forward like nothing happened. That's not usually the way it goes. It is a lifelong struggle that people go through to continue to stay clean and be clean and move forward. And not everybody is able to just get out there and do that. And Wanda was in a tough position already because it was like she was released and then what happens? Where does she go? She doesn't really have anybody. She doesn't have a job. They didn't set her up with anyone to get her back on her feet. Nothing. She just left the hospital and was back sleeping on the streets again. So I was very happy to see that she picked up the phone and called Leon, even though Leon he wants to help her, but he doesn't want to bring her back in to say, go to Alton shelter. He will help you. He helped me. He'll help you. He helps the community. And she did.
It's a step forward, like, because it is that just vicious cycle of, okay, you can get help and treatment, but there's no aftercare. Like, there's no actual tools to keep you from going back to that center all over again. And this is a nice step for Wanda. I don't know what's going to happen with her and Leon moving forward, though.
Yeah, I mean, we saw her go back to Leon. She overheard the conversation with Alton and Irene and sort of said, listen, Leon, like, I need a job. I can't just not have a job. And of course, he's worried to bring her back in. I mean, he brought her in and all this stuff happened to her. I'm sure he does feel responsible. Obviously, he's helped to get her clean. I'm sure he doesn't want to bring her back in and do this to her all over again. And I don't think that Leon could handle doing this to her all over again.
Yeah, it's one of these things where there's a part of my head where I'm just like, Leon, come on, do this for Wanda. But then it is also the Leon, you know, I understand the reservations. I understand mentally this guy's gone through it already this season, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, if he would want to bring her in on something, maybe find a way to bring her in on stuff that like Sissy is doing, which is more of the bookkeeping and sort of the math of it all and making sure that the money's moving and all that. And I know that that's a bit of a higher up position in what is going on, but at least it keeps her away from the stuff that's going to hurt her, but also gets her employed. Maybe there's something she could be an assistant and help out.
Okay, let me ask you a very important question here. What is more exciting, Teddy acting like John Rambo or Gustavo getting stuck on desk duty? Because there's just something about the image of just Gustavo, this very big man working at such a tiny desk, that I found amusing.
Well, it's also going to be interesting because Franklin called him to say, where is Teddy? I need Teddy.
Yeah.
Things are unraveling like very quickly. Get me in touch with him. But he, of course, is off being Rambo. And there's no way to really get that together. But is Gustavo then going to look back and kind of be like, man, I really should have given Teddy a call?
Gustavo, you're getting too entranced with your situation here. This is the weird thing about Gustavo is I almost just like the image of Gustavo more than all the nuances of the character, where I'm entertained when he's the wrestler or when he's at the desk. It's just I don't always fully comprehend his thought process, other than that these people did horrible things earlier, so I'm gonna just go murder Fuentes and all of his guys.
They've done a way better job with Gustavo this season. I'm not gonna pretend like I've been the biggest Gustavo fan through all these seasons, but since he has been working closer with Teddy, there's something really fascinating and entertaining about his bromance with Teddy, because it is such an unlikely duo that they get each other, but they really don't.
No, like it's so weird, and the Teddy stuff in this episode was so weird. Where you've got this clearly grieving man who's like desperately holding on to like
Yeah, that stuff with his dad when he got that call, oh, your brother's dead. Oh my God, he knows he's responsible for this. Okay, well, when is the funeral? Oh, it was a week ago. I'm just calling to let you know we're never talking again. I was like, oh my God, it was really, really bad.
Yeah, like that is clearly all still on this guy's mind, and he is now like, okay, I'm gonna go to another part of the world. I'm gonna deal with Avi and his nonsense because we've already had a lot of his nonsense this season already.
Yep.
And then he's like, oh, I've come all the way down here, and as it turns out, I'm not getting the business arrangement I want anymore, and apparently I'm not authorized to speak to who I want to speak to either.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that he's pissed off, and he was like, where is my money? $50 million is a lot of money. And yeah, she fixed it, the banker fixed it, and was like, okay, it's back, everything's cool now.
Yeah.
It just wasn't enough, because at this point, Teddy's motivations aren't just money. He is grieving. And when people are grieving, people act out. People act all different kinds of ways going through that grieving process. And he is just holding in a lot of guilt, a lot of anger. And he wants someone to take it out on. Even though everything is fine, he got his money back. The person's being dealt with. They're not being dealt with harshly enough.
Teddy is in the violent stage of grief where he's just going to completely lose it.
That's right. It's the anger stage.
I don't know all the stages of grief, but okay.
That is one of them.
Anger, thank you. Okay, he is clearly...
Former funeral director, I know the stages of grief. I've remembered that much.
I will say, I find it all very entertaining with Teddy at the moment that he's just sort of all over the place and he's acting out, but it is sort of like... You can't burn the number of bridges that Teddy has burned this season and expect it to just sort of be hunky-dory in the end.
He doesn't care.
Clearly, yeah.
He's not in a frame of mind to care.
No, the thing I wonder about all this is that obviously Franklin is going to make it to the end of Snowfall alive because this is pretty much his story. Is Teddy going to make it there alive?
Yes, he is. I think he needs somewhere to put his anger, and once he comes back and he finds out about Irene, this Irene story will get wrapped up in a very dark way.
Okay, I guess this is who's more likely to be the one who hops Irene? Is it Teddy or is it Franklin?
Oh, probably, I would say Teddy, and I would think that it would probably be more satisfying if it was Franklin after everything that happened, that it was his, dad telling her everything and that he gets to wrap it up the way he wants. But it'll probably be Teddy and his resources.
Yeah, Teddy just likes violence too much right now. I think that is the real situation. But yeah, this was a very good episode. There's a lot of interesting stuff to have go on here. Let's hope there's a little more Jerome moving forwards.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see some Jerome here with the whole Leon thing where Leon thought he could just go back to work and everyone would be fine. Yeah. And some of the people that have been there a lot longer, no, we're not having that. I'm Fatback's cousin. He was doing more for the community than just giving money. Like, where is that? If you're not going to bring that, then you and I are going to have a problem. And it was nice to see Jerome, who's obviously older than Leon and has a lot more experience in life, to know that there has to be a respect in everyone's communities. You can't just come back in and be like, business as usual. Sorry, your cousin's dead. Let's just start moving stuff again. There has to be a bit of respect and finesse with that. So it was cool to see Jerome come in and deal with that the way that he did. It's also kind of interesting to see the way that Jerome was just dealing with learning about the CIA thing in general, because this is the first time that he really saw Franklin and was just kind of like, yep, whatever, moving on. He didn't mention it. He didn't bring it up. He didn't have a fight about it. But you can see that he's like pissed.
It's somewhere in the back of his mind. I think it's just sort of like he's got the water turned on and we have to just sort of see, is it going to boil over at one point? Is he just going to let it all simmer and then it'll sort of cool off at the end?
Yeah, it sort of feels like he's upset about it, but he knows there's nothing he can do about it. And because of that, he's just feeling it out. kind of, all right, this happened to me. I'm in the thick of it now. I can't get out of it. So I can be pissed about it, but telling off Franklin isn't going to get me anywhere. I'm not going to get out of it. So let's just find a way to get through this.
All right, well, let's turn this over to you guys. What did you think about this episode of Snowfall? Where do you think this is all going at this point with Irene and Alton and all the just mess of a situation? Share in the comments.
And who do you think is going to kill Irene?
That really is the big one, because we all know she's going to die.
She's gotta.
Yeah, she's gotta.
I don't know how she gets out of it. If she's going into season 5, I'm not having this.
No. Let's put it this way. The odds are greater that your UCLA Bruins are going to win the national championship here than they are that anything good happens to Irene.
This feels like a little bit of shade happening here.
The UCLA Bruins, they have really tough competition. I want them to win. I picked them mostly because you pushed me in the right direction.
Mostly. See what he's doing here, guys? I told him to pick UCLA. I understand that they weren't doing that great, but come on.
Okay, listen.
Go Bruins. How are you going to have your whole seed thing going on and not actually, pick them?
I listened.
Your bracket, you listened.
I put some respect on their name. It's done me well. I'm in the 98th percentile, guys. Okay,
Bruins.
Yeah, what? How many people are like, what are these people randomly going on college basketball? Listen, it's on my mind. Okay.
It's 21 minutes in. Nobody's watching.
All right. Well, subscribe if you enjoyed this. Support us further as well. We have links to the store, our Patreon in the description. We will see you here next time.